Skip, they got away the value of Chris Paul. The contract, the size of the contract, a little over $30 million is due, but only $15 million, a little over $15 million is guaranteed if something is done by June 28th. This is, in law terms, SOP, standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Okay, look, this is what we have. We have Devin Booker, we have Kevin Durant. We know those two guys are coming back. Okay, DeAndre Ayton, what are we going to do with him? You hear his name being floated out there as a possible trade.
Yep.
I think they're kind of out on him, Skip, because it's like, you know what? We've done everything we possibly could. You're in a great situation. You got Kevin Durant, you got Book, and seemingly we got to beg you and throw logs on the fire to get you to burn every single night.
Yep.
Chris Paul, guy that's 38, about to be 30. I think he's going to be 39 maybe late next year, Skip. Injury history, $30 million. Can we get a little younger and still get the same value? Mike Conley might be available. D'Angelo Russell might be available. There are some pieces.
By trade.
By trade.
Yes.
There are some guys that are a little younger that are. Now, D'Lo is not a typical point guard. He's not. He's more of a two masquerading.
Agreed.
Mike Conley is a legit, I say, a true point.
I agree.
Good in the pick and roll.
Yep.
Can knock down threes.
Yep.
Can run the break. He can run a team. Terry Rozier might be available, but he's more of a two masquerading at the point also. So, Skip, when you look at it, Chris Paul, career low, 14 points. He did average 9 assists over 59 games. But the one thing that I know, being an ex-professional athlete myself, Skip, we don't get healthier as we get older. The injuries start to come with greater regularity, and they start to keep you out for longer periods of time. So and it seems to me, Skip, maybe I don't want to think I'm reading too much into this. Matt Ishbia don't give a damn what his star players think.
No, I would agree with that. He's demonstrated.
He like, that's your friend? This is my money. And your friend and my money ain't mixing. Because right now, I don't feel I'm getting bang for my buck. The one thing about billionaires, Skip, about people that make a lot of money and they run corporations, it's always about value. The value am I getting? Am I getting the bang from my buck?
Okay.
And he's looking at it like, I don't think I'm getting the bang from my buck, considering the games he missed in the regular season and considering what the time that he missed in the playoffs.
Right.
You believe that he would have been able to come back had they been able to force a Game 7?
I do.
So, Skip, but here's the problem. The mere fact that you leak it, that you might trade him or you might release him, you diminished a lot of his value.
If you want to trade, yes.
Yes. Because now I know, you want to get rid of Skip, the best thing is to have the car sitting in the driveway and somebody's like, man, I really like that car, but a for sale sign isn't in it.
Yeah.
Because once you put the for sale sign, I already know it's for sale. Okay, I know you want to get rid of it. So I got to give you a little less than what you're asking for it.
Yep.
I think that's what I think that's the dilemma that they're going to have with Chris Paul, a 38 going on 39-year-old aging point guard with a real big injury history.
Okay. To your point, Matt Ishbia played college basketball at Michigan State for Coach Izzo.
Yes.
On a championship team.
The 2000 team, right?
It wasn't a big contributor, but he was a good high school player, more of a walk-on type player. But he was around, and I'm sure he has a pretty good grip on what it takes to win basketball games.
Correct.
And I now consider Coach Izzo to be a Phoenix Suns advisor because
You're probably right. He's probably in a role like Shanahan is for his son Kyle.
Thank you. Our man Chris Haynes, my man Chris Haynes, reported last night flat out that the Phoenix Suns have notified star Chris Paul that he will be waived. And listen, if Chris Haynes tweets that and reporting that, I'm going to take it to my bank.
For sure.
Because notified is the operative word. It sounds to me like Chris has been in contact with Chris Paul, Chris Haynes to Chris Paul.
Right.
And then the next tweet is, Chris Paul plans to play for several more years and is eager to help a team contend for a championship, sources say. Well, it sounds like it probably was Chris Paul, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know for sure because ESPN and The Athletic were more on the fence about it. They're considering.
Right.
Or this sounds like it's done.
Yeah, it seems like they already considered it.
All right.
Considered.
This is just me. My 2 cents from a distance. I liked the way Chris Paul fit with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker.
Right.
I liked the feel of it. I liked the look of it. I liked the vibe of it.
Yes. I
thought he found a nice home at an advanced age. And And yet, to everybody's point, starting with yours, right on schedule, he pulls his groin. And if he doesn't, we might be having a different conversation right now. We just might, because I'm going to say it one more time. They did lose game 1 at Denver, but in game 2, they are up 3 with 3 minutes left in the second quarter. And in the time Chris had been on the floor, which was considerable, he was a plus 17 at this point. And he pulls his groin, and you know the rest of the story. And then I was told he was right on schedule to be back for game 7, and you know what happened to Monty Williams and company in game yet 6. Another closeout game at home. They lost by 30 points. And Chris is left waiting at the altar once again as the bridesmaid, right? Where he's close, but no cigar. And he played in the one finals, and they win the first 2 games against Milwaukee, and then Chris wasn't very good, and Devin wasn't very good, and he pulled his hamstring, and you know the rest of that story. So Chris is ringless as we speak. To your point yesterday, does it matter anymore? Should we discount the fact that people don't have rings? He's an all-time great player. And yet, the reason I like the fit is I liked his numbers, because I look at his numbers. Let's do when he was on the floor with the 2 guys, and Kevin came late because remember he was hurt. You saw him at the Super Bowl, remember, but he wasn't ready to go. No. All right, so with all 3 of them on the floor together, they went 12-3 as a threesome. And in those games, Chris averaged 13, 5, and 8 assists, which is pretty much on par with what he averaged for the whole year. He shot 44% from the floor. He shot 38% from 3, and he was a plus 109 in those 15 games. And he made a whole lot of late shots where they had to dare somebody to shoot it, because you got a double here and you got a double there. And Chris, can you make that shot? We dare you to make that shot. And he was making the bulk of them. And then against the Clippers, he made some big shots in a couple of the close games, and he averaged 14, 6, and 8, which is his way, and shot 35% from 3. But he made some big threes. My point is, it felt right to me. Is he getting way up there in age? Yes. Is it possible that he'd pull whatever next year and miss half the year? It's possible, to your point. I just think at $30 million, he's worth that to the Phoenix Suns. I would close my eyes and plunge with him one more time to see what would happen if you could have a training camp together and see how the chemistry rose with those 3. Because, Shannon, they got thrown together on the fly very late in the season.
But you remember, Skip, even though KD wasn't healthy when he got there, he had that freak accident. He ended up tweaking his ankle, and he missed. He missed another couple of weeks of the season.
It was just ridiculous. He's shooting a layup by himself. It's not even a layup line layup.
Skip, I get it, and you're saying $30 million is not a lot of money, and in today's time, for a player as valuable as Chris Paul, I agree.
Okay, real quick, the projection on him, if you do the second level stats, what would he be projected? What should he be worth next year? It was $36 million. So go ahead.
Wow. But the question, I think the thing is, you might be willing to do that, but if something happens to him, is campaign the answer at the backup?
I've liked him in stretches. He played really well against the Lakers. I'm going back, 3 years ago in the playoffs? But again, when he was called upon this time, he did not answer.
Skip, I just think the thing is, the guy says, you know what, I just don't. It's more probable than not. It's more likely than not that he's going to get injured again and he's going to miss significant time.
Okay, you could be right. I'm going on my gut. He is one of the great leaders in the history of the game, and leadership does not age. Right? Now, again, can you back up your leadership on the floor? You have to back it up some, right? But again, just on sheer star power, sheer Hall of Fameness, I want Chris Paul there to take another run at this and see if it would work. Now, the Ayton is, you want to talk about the X factor
they moving on from him.
Okay, if they want to move on, tell me what you're going to get back, because you got to get somebody to man the fort. You know, somebody's got to man the paint.
It's hard for me to see a scenario where they get somebody back that's worse than Ayton.
Okay.
I'm not saying they're about to get Jokic or Joel Embiid or Giannis, but it's hard for me to see a scenario, Skip. I shouldn't have to beg you to play hard every night. I shouldn't have to beg you to get double-digit rebounds when you're 7 foot tall.
I agree. I cannot argue with you. And that's the biggest 7 foot X factor.
Yeah. If you got to duck your head to walk into a doorway, you should give me 12 rebounds a night.
Yeah.
And he has to do that. Give me 7. I mean, Monty is begging and pleading. He's like, come on, son. Son, you're better than this. We believed in you.
Yeah.
That's why we gave you the money.
I got it.
Skip, Book went to the man on the sideline. Skip, if a teammate got to ask you, do you want to win? Skip, hey, Coach, you hear what I had to ask him? Matt Instrument, did you hear what I had to ask him? James Jones, the gentleman, did you hear? I had to ask this man in a game, does he want to win?
Well, Monty asked him that last year against Dallas.
No, you got to go,
game,
Brock.
right?
No, hell no.
Okay.
And Skip, you said, there's leadership. You can't put a price tag on leadership.
Yep.
But see, when the leadership is hurt, I don't need another bench coach. Mm-mm. They got a bunch of them on the, Adrian Young, Kevin Young, he's an assistant. Mm-hmm. They got plenty of bench coaches. I don't need Chris Paul for that. I need Chris Paul, but on the floor. And the question is, given his history and his age, Skip, you see him, these injuries are coming with greater regularity, Skip. He's missing longer and longer.
Okay, same with Kevin, same with Book, right? And Book's not an age factor.
Right.
It's just he gets hurt.
Well, when you said Phoenix, the sun was starting to rise in Arizona, and you looked around and said, Phoenix, I think you won the championship. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I said, Skip.
You did. To your credit. You said, well, that's all well and good if those three can all stay healthy. And if they could have, we might be having
a different story. But, Sky, man, I would... Could I get, Skip, honestly, I think I would rather have Mike Conley than Chris Paul at this juncture. Yeah. And it's not like Mike Conley's 26. Hell, I think Mike Conley is like 35, 36.
I think he's up there.
Yeah, he's got like 17 years.
I'm going to give you this, though. It looks like Mike keeps himself in a little better overall condition than Chris does. Yeah. Chris has got like a football body to me. He looks more like a fullback.
But he changed his diet, Skip. I don't think I think he's a vegan. Yeah. I think he's plant-based now. He's not meat. Not that I think of. I think
he needs to discover pliability or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He looked like he's bound tight. Yep. But all I know is that owner's coming in, and he's different than a lot of these owners. Yep. He ain't listening to the players. Because a lot of the owners come in like, okay, what does our star players, because they've been briefed, okay, this is what. Yep. He's coming in and said, no, I'm the star.
Well, we're going to talk about this in a few minutes. But if they say no to Chris Paul, as Chris Haynes is saying, Laker Nation are saying, ooh, thank you.
Yeah, and we won't have to pay him a whole lot of money because you got 16 million coming. How much?
15. You'd have to pay half.
No, we ain't got to pay half of nothing.
Okay.
Well, we give you mid-level.
Okay. Well, there you go.
And you be in L.A., you at home. Don't you? I would assume he still has a place here.
I think it's out in the valley. But
perfect.
Yep. We'll discuss.
12-time All-Star. Somebody is going to want CP3's services.
The Lakers, we want him.
Shannon's making the bid right now, right here.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.